Why do we feel like that it's wrong? What makes us feel that it's wrong?
The sad thing is these things are only out there for attention and for likes. It's not really to educate anyone. It's to shock.
Like, are we going back to kindergarten? Do we need to be educated of how to approach a woman?
Social media is not there to make us happy.
No.
Social media is to make Mark Zuckerberg rich.
You're such a snowflake. Come on, can't you take a joke?
That's shocking. Shocking. Absolutely shocking.
Welcome to the 4th season of The She Word. Welcome back. This is conversations that women rarely have, but really should. And I am so excited for the 4th season because 13 weeks of great conversations lie ahead of us. We're going to be talking about some serious topics such as divorce and depression, and lighter topics as well, such as dating. We're also going to be handling topics like women who are working mums, women who are stay-at-home mums, and so much more. So if you are joining us on YouTube, please make sure that you have subscribed somewhere under here. And if you're joining us on Spotify, make sure that you go onto the app there and subscribe as well, because we have so much good stuff coming your way over the next few weeks. Please, of course, make sure you follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Here's another reason to join our channels. On the 24th and the 25th of May, we are hosting The She Word Live at MCC in Valletta. These are 2 incredible days dedicated to empowering women in the workplace and empowering women in the world. We are bringing you the most inspiring speakers from around the globe. We'll be holding panel discussions with outstanding women and giving you the opportunity to get involved with Q&As, along with a host of other features and activities. So head to our channels, make sure that you're signed up and following us, because those tickets are coming out very, very soon, and get those dates in your diary, the 24th and the 25th of May. And if you are joining us on our Patreon page, thank you. A very special welcome to you. Just by being a Patreon page subscriber, you are doing something amazing. Because along with getting our content before anybody else, getting ad-free content and special offers from our partners, just by being a Patreon page subscriber, you are making change. 50% of the profits from our Patreon page goes straight to the Richmond Foundation to help women who are seeking guidance, support, and therapy, but simply can't afford it. In recent times, it seems evident that both men and women are challenged to establish parameters in relation to what is appropriate behavior and deemed disrespectful or derogatory. Nowhere is this more visible than media. We know boys will be boys and always like a bit of an in-joke. But the old age question remains, when is it not okay? When is the right time to call out objectification or bad behavior? This is not a new challenge. This is more of a continual conversation. And with the ever-increasing access to media channels, it's a conversation that we need to keep having. And this is the first show, and we're going to talk about this. And I'm really, really excited because I have 3 incredible guests for this first show. Corrine, welcome back.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be back. Thanks.
I am so glad that you're here because you were on The She Word in season 1.
I was.
When we discussed the menopause, way back when. You've also been at the front end of media for many years, a DJ on XFM, but radio listeners will also recognize your voice as a voiceover artist or the voice of some rather racy audiobooks. I have to just keep mentioning that.
Yes.
Corrine, I'm going to let you fill in the gaps in just a second, but I'm so glad that you're here.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming for this first show in season 4.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure.
Who would have thought all that time ago when we were talking about menopause that we'd be doing this again?
I know.
Isn't it exciting?
It is very exciting, and it just proves how incredible this podcast is.
I'm so glad you said that. Gail
Hello.
Gail Baldacchino. So like our other guests, you are very active and respected in terms of social media and a social media following, but you've also worked in media alongside of some of the biggest names in local radio, and you're back on this show again because you've been here before as well.
Yes, I'm so excited, Trudy. Can't imagine.
I'm going to say you were in the very first show. The very first show
About
in
influencers,
season
yeah.
1
Yeah.
in 2022, talking about social media.
It was still COVID time, like fresh out of COVID. Yeah.
Right. I mean, who would have thought that? I'm so glad you're
I'm
back.
so excited. Thank you.
I am really, really excited about that. Tess Saliba.
Hi.
You are also no stranger to media, having led roles in TV dramas. And also, of course, you've been a radio DJ and so much more, a stage actress. And again, you're no stranger to the she word either, because how many times have you been on the show now?
A couple.
A couple of times.
A couple.
I always like you being here because you throw your family members under the bus.
My
but
gosh.
hopefully,
I'm always brutally honest. Is the truth? I'm quite a blunt and honest person, so I'm not gonna really sugarcoat things. If I have an opinion, I'm gonna say it, and if that means I'm gonna throw a couple of casualties there, sorry.
but, I mean, that is exactly why I've got you three ladies on this show, the first show of the new season, because we are going to be talking about something called male gaze. And I'm going to just explain what that is in a second. But it really is something that affects not just us now, but women through the ages. But right now we're seeing it in media, I think probably more frequently and more accessible than before. So I'm going to just explain a few statistics. Then I'm going to come to you just for a little bit more about you, and then we're going to talk about this topic. So the male gaze places women in the context of male desire, essentially portraying the female body as eye candy for a heterosexual man. By valuing the desires of the male audience, the male gaze supports the self-objectification of women. Here's some stats. Women leads in films are more likely to be objectified. Indeed, 30% of female leads were shown wearing revealing clothing compared to only 7% of men. Now, it doesn't stop there, though. 15% of females, as compared to 8% of men, were shown partially nude and 2% completely naked. The male gaze is a harmful society construct that reduces women to the object of desire. It impacts the way women are portrayed in the media and the way women are expected to conform to certain standards, and also the way that women are treated in public spaces. Let's start with this question. Where do we sit as women in 2024? Are we better off, more respectfully portrayed than we were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, or 50 years ago? Why are we having this conversation?
I think we did improve. I have seen improvements. However, lately with TikTok being super trendy, and everyone wants to sort of get the followers and get the engagement, I'm noticing a newish trend that came back from the 50s where women are very, very objectified by big influencers. I'm referring to worldwide, right? Not just locally. So, and of course, Maltese follow some of them. So I am seeing a bit of a newish trend where women are being objectified lately again. It's sort of improved, and overall I've seen an improvement. But lately, yes, if you go on TikTok and short reels on Instagram, some of them are like, is it like, what is it, back to the past?
But this is really interesting. Let's delve straight into this. Who's objectifying them? Are they being objectified by men, or are women doing it to themselves?
Ooh, both.
Okay.
I think both. I think in some cases it's both. Some cases it's the men try and, I don't know, be cool or be funny, or I don't know what they're doing. But I've seen cases where even the women were in on it. So but then we can't really blame men. So I've seen both. And it's a bigger disappointment, to be honest, when I see women letting, I don't know.
I think the whole reason we're having this conversation, because I would wholeheartedly agree with you, I actually think that we've seen a regression. I think we kind of, and correct me if you have a different opinion, but I think we made huge leaps forward. And then, like you say, with some social media, which is led by algorithms, let's face it,
Yes. Yeah.
we're sort of seeing a slide back. Am I right?
There's too much. There's just so much more content readily available at your fingertips, even from your mobile phone. When was that ever going on in the past?
Right.
And we're talking the 50s, the 60s, the 70s. You had to go to very specific locations to find women being objectified somewhere, I think, than the way it is so accessible today and used to gain followers and to gain likes and attention.
Yes.
So I think it's a scary time we live in, and there are very few places left that women feel safe. And I don't think we are even safe on the internet, because the minute you put yourself out there, you are fodder for anyone to make a comment or pass judgment. If you're okay with that, fine. But there's some women who it can be soul crushing to them. You can't just say, have a thick skin, good luck.
Yeah, no, exactly.
No, we're not all built
Exactly.
the same.
People put themselves in certain situations. I'm a bit on the fence when it comes to this particular topic, because on the one hand, I do appreciate that, yes, it's a free for all and you do have the freedom to post whatever you want. And if you're happy with your body and you're comfortable in your own skin, go crazy and do your thing. But then on the other hand, don't get me wrong, I'm not justifying certain comments and certain derogatory things that are said. I'm not justifying that at all, by any means. Let me make that very clear. But I'm also a little bit like, look, you put yourself up. You put a selfie of yourself up with yourself in very little clothing up on social media. And you're expecting that nobody is going to say anything about it.
Why are we doing this? I mean, we're chasing the algorithms, right?
Yeah.
We are in 2024, almost everybody is chasing the algorithms. And I don't know about you, but the algorithms just recently have changed. I don't know if anybody else is noticing that. So we are now conditioning ourselves again to chasing the algorithms. Now, there's a very interesting conversation I had recently whereby we're talking about TikTok. And TikTok in China, which is where TikTok was made, their algorithms are utterly different to the algorithms that we have in the West.
Interesting.
In what sense?
Content, so the content that is the algorithms, so the content is created by the algorithms, because the what makes your post or makes your message more popular is that the algorithms see it, and they it then rises to the top of the mire of all of this content. In China, I have been told that the algorithms promote well-being content, good mental health content. And here in the West, the content is designed to be destructive to society. And I'm saying that's not my words, that's somebody else's who has been over in the West, in the Far East, and worked with this. So we know that algorithms are designed. I mean, it doesn't take a genius to work that out. They're designed to put forward the woman who's promoting herself in a very scantily clad bikini.
Right, yeah.
If we're all chasing the algorithms, that's surely what we're chasing, no?
You can always reverse, though, a bit of the algorithm. If there are options which can help you sort of show less of what you don't like and show more of what you like. So, but you have to be really aware of what you're seeing. So if you scroll mindlessly, then you'll be fed whatever the algorithm wants you to be fed. But if you're like very mindful of what you're scrolling, if you're very attentive, then you can click and select, like, I don't want to see this, I'm not interested in this.
I do a lot of
and
that.
it changes for you. It changes. So, but yes, and locally, I think with having some news portals and some platforms showing off certain content, then our algorithm changes because, a friend shares this reel, look what this page posted, and look what this page posted. And all of a sudden, my algorithm changes back. So unfortunately, as you're saying, it makes sense what you're saying. In China or wherever, I never heard of this, but they promote well-being, blah, blah, blah. What is Maltese? What are Maltese pages promoting? What the neighbor did last time, and what someone like guys were doing at the pub, and blah, blah, blah. So that's
Getting
why
an order wrong at McDonald's.
Exactly.
I'm going to mention it
Exactly.
because I was so livid by
so
that.
that's
But anyway.
why our local, I say our because like us living in Malta, algorithm is of a certain kind, because the big platforms are pushing certain content, which is then shared amongst friends, families, and stuff. So, yeah, but you can change it, guys.
My
Change
algorithm
those
is very is very particular, I would say. For example, I am not particularly into fashion, so I very rarely get anything on my algorithm that has to do with fashion. I don't like. I like recipes, for example. I like body positivity. So. And when something that is not part of it shows up, as you very rightly said, you can not right click, you can
Click on the dots.
Yeah.
click on the
Show
dots
less.
and show less of this. And at the moment, I'm quite happy, even with my algorithm on TikTok, for example. There's a lot of interviews with actors and things like that. That's my kind of algorithm. Then, of course, when it's something that even in Malta, you were mentioning certain examples, is really popular, it kind of shows up, which in a way I don't mind, because I like to know what is happening, and if something the boys are talking about at school, I want to be engaged as well, to know what is going on. But I'm also very aware that if you don't want to see it, all you have to do is this.
That's it. This is what
You don't
gets
need to be
me.
nasty and comment about it. You don't want to see it. Just do this or do this. I mean, that is all.
We've forgotten the most common courtesy, and that is, if you have nothing nice to say nothing at all.
No.
Rather than taking time out of your day and your life to write nasty, degrading comments to bring people down and crush them, I think those people, no. They should all be rounded up and put in their own kind of internet hell.
They should all be stuck on filter.
Really, it's disgusting. If you have nothing
Send them
nice
out
to
to
say,
filter.
or if you don't like what that person's portraying in that post, just scroll.
Scroll.
That's what
Okay,
you have a finger for. Scroll.
Yeah, but okay, so I agree with you on that. But then we're talking about this male gaze, and we're talking about how women are portrayed in media, and how women are then the subsequent net effects of that. A lot of that content that you and me around the table may not be subscribing to is still out there, and it's still having an effect on society. So we all had this conversation about certain content that's been in media recently and how we feel about it. And quite frankly, we were horrified.
Disgusted. Sorry, and I'm no prude. Anyone who knows me can tell you I'm not a prude. I'm not prudish. I'm not, manihush skandlu, as they say in Maltese. I'm not going to get scandalized by seeing something. But it was low and gross. And as a woman, I'm appalled. There's very few places left that we can feel safe. Yeah. Shouldn't you be able to feel safe in a situation where you're at work?
So let's explore that, because I really want to touch on that. And I want to get you guys to think about this, because I can't find an answer to this. When content comes up, certain content that's derogatory to women, we have all talked about it. There's been content that's come up that's maybe does not show women in a positive light. Why do we feel like that it's wrong? What makes us feel that it's wrong? Because I want to be able to say, okay, it's wrong because it's X. And I'm not quite sure that I've worked out why. So if we see something that is just really not very nice, and we're batting around the content that we've seen because we don't want to go down that road, but when you see something on social media that's just, you have that feeling that it's wrong. Where does that feeling come from? Describe that to me. What is that?
I think if it's let's say it's a video of a guy and a girl someone is approaching, the guy is approaching a girl, and you can visibly see that there's no, there's no body language, and there's no, gestures, like friendly gestures, friendly looks. It's very easily, like, you can easily say, the girl is not interested, like, walk away. Like, it's there. It's what, like, are we going back to kindergarten? Do we need to be educated of how to approach a woman? I don't think so. So for me, if it's a video, you can easily say, you can easily tell if a girl is not comfortable, or if a guy is not comfortable. But in this case, it's always the girls who are not comfortable. I was also disappointed when I saw girls who were in on certain videos, because I don't know, it felt that the jokes and the I don't know, the ideas were very outdated, were very like, oh, cringe, big cringe. Like, do we want men to objectify us with like, oh, look at your ass, look at that, look at those boobs. Like, do we want that again? Like, why? So for me, it's that.
How long did we fight?
How long did we fight? We're still fighting,
How long?
And now we're going
and now we're going backwards.
And for me, it's like showing, like putting a video out there, having teens and young teenagers, not just boys or girls, watching these kinds of videos from, supposedly inspiring people, and like, why? Like, what are we teaching them? I mean, I ask myself, Trudy, like, do I always have to educate someone? I feel that there's a responsibility when you put a video out there. There's a big responsibility.
Yes.
So where is the responsibility? Like, is it all for the likes and the engagement?
That is
like,
it.
How shallow.
It is one big popularity contest. Who has the likes? Who gets the little blue tick because they have the most likes and the most followers?
Now you can buy it.
And now you can buy it, which is even scarier because you can fool people into thinking that you deserve that tick. But I feel like there's a fine line. I feel that there's ways that if women were attracted to men, the majority, I'm not generalizing completely saying all women, I'm saying the majority, would be, we like a bit of eye candy.
Of course.
I'm the first one to say, ooh, look at him. But I'm not going to go up to him and go, ow, hey, how you doing? Wouldn't you be? Look, you're horrified.
Oh my God.
I'm horrified even saying it. I don't even know a natural way to say that. But from afar, I would look and be like, he's nice. And I think that person would probably appreciate that too. A nice, respectful admiration.
Yeah.
It's like a nice admiration, respectfully. And now that's all out the window. There's a fine line. And like you said, we're being objectified on a daily basis. Some of us do it to ourselves. But then there is a fine line in believing that all of us want to be objectified because a few of us are on there objectifying ourselves. Or some of us would still like a little bit of respect. It's one thing if you say, hey, I think you're really good looking. I think you're gorgeous. And you would go, well, thank you. And that's it. And then there's another thing, getting handsy. Or
feeling like you can just do
exactly feeling like you have a right to touch somebody or to say something really low and degrading to them. Where does that come from? Where does that liberty come from? When do we turn from being nice people to being downright low and disgusting?
I'm listening to you guys talk and I'm finding myself going, but again, I think I'm a little bit on the fence because I think I'm agreeing with what you are saying, but there is also a small percentage of me that is going, but what is offensive to us may not be offensive to other people. So I think what you said, I think this is where I said, okay, now this I agree with. Because I'm listening to you talk and I'm going, so okay, possibly that made us uncomfortable, but somebody else might take that and say, oh, nice, you said something nice. When in reality, education possibly comes into it and you're a bit like, okay, there is a compliment there. It's a bit shallow and a bit but okay, yes, I see that there is a compliment there. So I think how something is phrased is where the fine line is, because sometimes the intention is good, and it's translated in a very way. With regard, a very way.
It's so good, though. You're right. You're right.
Because okay, everybody, if somebody had to, I think what makes me uncomfortable is that, I mean, I am very confident, but sometimes when somebody passes a compliment, it's always, it's nice. Everybody likes to receive a compliment, you know? And if you've got a nice outfit up on and you want to put a photo of it up on social media and people are complimenting you, if it's wow, that red dress is so your color, it's one thing. But I think if it's illallu x'namillek, I would tear that dress right off of you. I would be like, oh, okay.
That's not okay, though.
No, it's not.
It's not okay.
The minute it starts making you feel
So-
uncomfortable.
I think that is it. That there is this, there's a compliment in it somewhere, but I don't think the execution of that compliment is all right, dude.
And that's what I'm trying to get my head around, because there's a
But
boundary.
I think the line is different for different people, or not? Sorry, I stopped you, Trude.
No, not at
I
all.
don't think it's the line. I think it's who comes up with the content, with the ideas. It's not. So this is we're not talking two guys and a girl in a bar having fun. They just met and they went a bit aggressive or whatever, and the girl told them shut up. Blah, blah, blah. This is content being created towards, like, you know. So there was, you know, someone was writing down notes. Okay, so we're going to do this and that.
Yeah.
The guys going. So it was. There was a mastermind.
Premeditated. Yep.
So this is not just random 16-year-olds. They don't know how to approach a girl, and that's fine. Or a 30-year-old who doesn't know. A 30-year-old approaching a girl who doesn't know. This is like videos, content by big pages, by like being thought and then executed. That is scary for me, and that is passing on a message. That it's fine. It's cool.
And that's
Go
where
on.
the line gets blurred.
That
the
is-
line
that
gets
is the
blurred
scary-
there.
It's you know, it's the brainstorming behind the
right.
video. It's like
That's right. You know that there's brainstorming behind the video
course.
because you're educated enough and you've experienced life long enough till now that you know that was something planned, written,
planned.
and executed. But a young, impressionable teenager or young adult might not.
yeah.
Might not. And that's where the line gets blurred. They might think, oh, well, that's cool then. If that's what's happening now, that's the trendy way to approach a woman.
Are we that
And there it is.
impressionable? Is it that transparent? Are we that naive that if we see something on social media that we
Not everyone.
replicate it?
Not everyone, but let's say the young ones. Like some pages have the young ones following them. As in, we're still young, yes, but we're
Speak for yourself, love.
But you know, I think we're at an age where we can tell where something is a bit or not. But the young ones, I'm scared. You know, like I'm scared of my nephews and my niece that they watch this kind of content. And even on TikTok, like some on TikTok even give tips on how to approach girls, and the way they approach girls, not like, oh, you're pretty. No, it's very
Yeah.
like,
Direct.
direct, and not just direct. It's like it's crazy. So for me, that is the scary part. It's like, well, the brainstorming and then executing.
Then it's our responsibility, and your niece and nephew are so lucky to have you, because I'm assuming you would be responsible enough to tell them, hey, you know, that's not the way it's really done. If you want to get a nice girl or a nice guy, this really isn't the way to approach it. And this is just something that you've seen on the internet. It's not real. And I think, you know, it's up to us to try and help the younger generation to realize, hey, we can fight back against this. We can fight back against these ridiculous trends that people just put out there for likes. And that's the sad thing. The sad thing is these things are only out there for attention and for likes. It's not really to educate anyone. It's to shock. And for people to pass it around and say, hey, did you see this? It's shocking.
What if you could start your journey over? Start here and start again there. That's how life works, in a circular way. We understand the importance of circles, and that's why you are at the heart of ours. Find your way to wellness with Browns.
But Cor, you and I are, I mean, I'm still way ahead of you, but we're more close to each other in age.
Yes.
But that whole idea of humour coming from men's behaviour towards women, or even women's behaviour towards men, has been around it's been entertainment for decades.
Yeah.
There was, when I was growing up, I never watched because I wasn't particularly enamoured with this, but there was a guy called Benny Hill. And Benny Hill
yes.
was always had the, you know who Benny
yeah,
Hill
yeah,
is?
yeah.
So there would always be sketches where he's approaching a woman and not very successful and that sort of thing. What is the difference between that and what we're talking about now? Because that's not new. Women have been objectified in
sure.
media forever. And what we're talking about is, I feel like we're talking about something that is new and something that's slightly different. Let's face it, Bond always had pretty girls on his arm, and he would, you know,
Sure.
shag them and leave.
Yes.
Do we think that young men would then say, okay, I'm going to be like Bond? Did young men say, I'm going to be
Probably
like Bond?
did make an impression on a lot of young
So
men.
why are we not criticising James Bond and the writers of James Bond for what they were portraying, how they were portraying women? Because we always think of James Bond as a hero. It was okay for him to you know, pick up a girl, have a one-night stand and leave.
But wasn't he a gentleman when he did it?
Well, was he? Because quite often they got shot or something anyway.
Compared to what I see online, to what they think is a pickup line or okay,
Yeah.
an okay
I
way
think
to
that's the
approach
difference.
women, I
There's
think
a big difference.
there's a big difference.
And look at James Bond.
Yeah. And it was also, it left things to our imagination. We knew that he picked up a woman and he spent the night with her, but we didn't need a full-blown minute-by-minute sex scene and I've got nothing against a good sex scene, but sometimes they just go too far these days. It's like, I know what's going to happen. Why are you showing me? Do we need to see that all the time? If I want that, I can go to, you know, a special channel for those things. Why is it always, and like you said, it's most of the time the woman who's laying there in the nude?
Yeah, well, I didn't say that. The statistics said that.
You know? Yeah, so
You don't think men can be objectified?
Of course.
absolutely.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Because I see certain things on social media as well, where
Yes.
there are certain,
Creators, local.
where I'm a bit like, wow,
Yes,
Hey.
yes,
you've
yes.
that's really derogatory, and this is where I think even the gender sides to it becomes. I think it's not okay, irrelevant of if you're female or if you're male. Honestly,
Of course,
I
it's not
feel it a bit
okay.
more
Yeah.
because I am a woman.
But I think the maybe thing is that women are speaking up and men aren't as much.
Maybe they are not uncomfortable. This is
And maybe
this
they
is
are not
this is what I
uncomfortable.
mean by maybe the line is
Yes, blurred.
different for what for me is no, that was not nice. Might be like, no, I was okay with that comment for others, and each to their own. I think when something is explicitly not okay, it's very evident. But I think there are even men on social media,
I agree.
even local social media, I mean, where I'm a bit like, why? Just come. If you want to compliment him, compliment him. You don't need to say something like.
Yeah, I agree. It's but I think the majority is still women being.
Yes, I do think it is
I
women.
mean, this is always the case. It's both. Okay, not just women, even men. Even men get abused. Even men get raped. But the majority is we get harassed on the street. We are scared to walk down, the cinema front in the evening. We are scared to park our car far away. Like, it's always women, it's always us. I got a taxi in Carnival from Valletta to Floriana because I was scared of walking alone. And when I told this to a guy, he's like, really? Like, 2-minute walk? Like, yes, because I was scared. And so, yes, it's both are scared, both get abused or whatever, both get harassed, but it's always women
Who
even
get it a
even in
little bit more.
movies. Like, even the statistics say it, it's always women who get it worse. So it's like, it's fact.
You've raised a really good point, and this is about safety, because there are, to reiterate what we've just said, and to I really want to drill down and define this before we move on to the next point, but there's some clear boundaries when it comes to how women are portrayed, seen or objectified in media. Some things are clearly a no-no. We've talked about that. There are some things that are just not right. And most would believe that abusive messages are not okay. And we'll come to that in a second as well. The net effect of of content creation. Most will probably agree that offensive comments in public, catcalling, and we'll come to that in a second because that's a whole nother thing. But perhaps a large percentage think that a post or a campaign where a woman that portrays a woman as the butt of a sexual joke is not okay. But who decides? And this comes back to exactly what you said, Tez. Who decides that it's okay and it's not okay? How do we decide what is offensive and abusive as opposed to spirited comments made in good fun? How do we know? How, if we were to put something on the table and say, it's how you feel, or it's the net effect.
I think it's very personal because sometimes certain things are said and I don't take. Maybe I'm a little bit more
Yes.
aligny for the Maltese phrase. But there are some things I do take offense by. There are some things I'm a bit like, yeah, you know, and I really don't give it a second thought. But there, for example, there was a period where I was on social media being. I was receiving very inappropriate messages and very inappropriate messages. And sometimes they would come in via private message and sometimes they would come in publicly. And one time I remember I went live and these very inappropriate comments were there to be seen by all. And I took action because I did not want... That to me was not a uwiya mushorta. It was one of those where I said, okay, you did it once, I ignored you. You did it twice, 3 times, 4 times. This is now going to cybercrime. And I went down that route. And I called cybercrime and they guided me. I had to go down to the police station and I opened a report.
Good for you.
And a whole year later, I'm very happy to say that the police did manage to track the IP address. And I was told that, are you happy to just waiver it? And I said, no, I want you to bring this guy down to the station and I want to meet him face to face. And I did. And I'm not going to go into the details of it, but things could have ended a lot worse. It was an ex-student of mine, an ex-student, let me say that, at a school I worked at. I'm not even going to mention any schools. But I was very like, as the educator in me, I was like, I hope you get that this is not okay, that you thought I was just going to swipe and delete, and I want you to see that I did not.
I think that's great.
And I went to cybercrime, and I don't think a lot of people know the route you need to take to get to the bottom of it.
I don't think there's much awareness.
No. In fact, I notice even at school, I speak to my boys about this, and I'm very open and I'm very honest with them that no, this is not okay. And a lot of people would just either screenshot and send it to their friends. This guy is really irritating me. This guy irritated me, but then he really irritated me and I did something about it. Do we have to get to a point where we have to keep going to cybercrime or whatever? I'm hoping this is a one-off thing. But unfortunately, I think from the educational side of it, we need to educate that is wrong.
Yeah.
Why is it wrong?
What do you mean, why is it wrong?
I'm
This guy
asking.
telling me what he wanted to do to my body. Shall I read some? Can I read some text?
Yes.
I think
like that.
what is not okay is what have women been fighting for? And if we've been fighting for certain equality and whatnot, and then we bring certain inequalities once again, I think that is what makes it not okay. So I think that it's because it's true. It's what is okay, what is not okay. Maybe for me it's fine, and for her,
No, but
But there are some that are obviously not okay. I was not comfortable receiving words like, please send me a video of yourself squirting.
Jesus.
I would love to squirt on your tits. They are probably very perky. I will not all over them. I think this is, and I am not a prude.
No.
And I am really like a,
For sure.
Really, I really don't mind a dirty comment here and there.
But that's not a normal
But I'm not
comment.
okay with a random person
oh my god,
turned out to be a youngster, an adolescent, sending me messages like this. So this was via private message. And then there were others live. Let me just say others, you guys. Live for all to see. Then that is where I go, I'm sorry, dude. If you think that that's okay to message somebody these messages, I think something's seriously wrong with you. And I'm going to take action against you. And I did. So I want to now, I have a son. And how do you drill this into somebody? Because this person is somebody's son too. This is somebody's son too.
Yeah.
Is it the parent, the mother's fault? Was it misparenting? If
Not
that's
always,
even a word.
not always,
No. But as a society, are we saying something like this is okay?
No.
But
If social media algorithm this is where I agree with you 100%, is saying, ooh, then yes.
that's-
Unfortunately, this is where we have to go, oi.
Exactly.
Can we all take a step back and say, but ma isn't this logical? Is this, would you be okay, you person who sent me this message, if your sister received this text,
Yeah.
And this-
would you be
I think-
okay with your sister receiving this text?
I think I told you that.
in a group that we had a conversation about this was one of the things that landed with me so pertinently, is in this conversation which we were referring and had been sharing some media, local content that had gone out recently that made us feel uncomfortable. The response to that was, would you be okay if this was your wife, your partner, your daughter, your niece,
But for me,
your
that's-
sister?
That's the last resort for me to have to explain, to have to go personally, for me to tell you, listen, imagine if it was your sister. For me, that's so, that's the last
The
resort.
extreme
of
That's
it.
for you to understand. I have to treat you like a child and tell you, listen, imagine if it was your sister. That's stupid. Why should I go there? I shouldn't be even imagining if it was your sister, if it was your mother, if it was, you should know. You should bloody know. But clearly, social media.
But why do they not? Why do people who put out content
I
like
don't
this
know.
or make
Because
comments
they're
like
so
that? Why not?
comfortably hidden behind their keyboard.
No,
I don't think so, no.
because some of the content that's been going out recently, even locally, that's made us as women feel uncomfortable, has been extremely public.
It's hidden. It's hidden, as in not hidden. They want to portray it as humor, as
It's not.
comedy,
It's not.
as and whatnot. But
Yeah.
it's not. And I think we all know whenever there's a viral video, what is the viral video? It's someone either shouting at someone, either something very extreme. So these kinds of this humor, which is extreme humor, which is not humor for me, but anyway, goes viral because they say things which are outdated, outrageous, cringe, big cringe, and people engage. Bad publicity is good for engagement.
But I also
And
think
that's it, that's it.
I also think that certain portals think about traffic and
Yes.
clicks being generated. Going back to the and I'm mentioning the brand. Sorry, I'm name dropping a brand. Feel free to edit this part out, but I'm naming it in particular because everybody knew about the video that happened at McDonald's of a woman who got extremely angry at a manager, I believe,
Yeah.
because of a size order of chips that was done incorrectly. And I took to my social media because I was completely mortified at the outrage that was created. Let me explain what I was angry about. I am again not justifying her action towards going to the manager and shouting. That was incorrect. Nobody should ever lose their shit, especially with, that the approach was extremely wrong.
Yeah.
I am not justifying her action, but let us not be holier than thou people and not say that we've never had an outburst of sorts. And God forbid there is somebody lurking with a phone ready to film it. Film you at your worst, and then that is put up on social media, and everybody is. Let's take a chill pill. She was wrong. Yes, she was wrong. But Madoffi, man, how do you know what she is coming?
was going
You
through,
don't know.
You don't know what happened to her 10 minutes before.
Before.
No.
And so we're judging her in isolation of anything else that's been
Yes.
going on in her day.
Why am I bringing this up? It's not what we're mentioning today at all. I know. But sometimes I feel certain portals, this is really good, let me post it. And sure enough, it becomes viral on social media, and I'm a bit like, maybe the news portals should act a bit more responsibly
course.
and keep in mind the ripple effect of your traffic. What is your traffic generating? What is it normalizing?
And to the detriment of the person who's featured in that video.
I
don't like this, the
someone's
concept
mom or
of
someone's
you're all
daughter.
fair game because you're out in public, so I can film you whenever I want, post to social media, it goes viral.
GDPR.
Well,
Basically, none of us are safe anywhere to have a bad day, to have a bit of a meltdown. None of us are safe anywhere.
But that's
anyone
so,
can
that's
pick
so
their phone up.
scary.
this is where the whole conversation started from the first point, because in certain situations, videos were taken without permission, expressed
absolutely.
without permission and made public.
Guys
and
to girls.
Yeah.
guys to girls, and created this objectification content that was put out there. But Tez just said something that is just, I still, and maybe because I'm an older generation, I still baffles me. I don't question it, but it baffles me. But we all seem to be, ever since the very first day of reality TV, everybody, the entire planet seems to be chasing this these algorithms for popularity, for likes, for being a 5-minute superstar. And this is exactly what the person who posted that poor woman, her worst moment, that's what they were doing. They were just posting it because they knew it would create them following.
It would skyrocket.
Why are we
Something
not
like
doing
that.
it?
Right. That's not all right.
No.
It's so not okay. On so many levels. On so many levels. I was so angry when I saw it. Everybody reacting and saying, "Lallo, she really did it. How amazing that the manager kept calm." Yes, kudos to him. He kept calm. He really did keep his cool, and that was the best reaction possible. But I feel like everybody is holier than thou. Even certain comments that you see, certain threads that you see, I'm like, can you
Oh, you don't want to
Can you
see me on a
forget
bad moment, right? You do
judgy?
not want to
Wait,
see
I wish
me.
everybody's had these moments.
We all have moments like that.
Wait,
Sometimes it's public, sometimes it's not. But why can't we be safe in the thought that we can have those moments in our life and it's not going to be uploaded to some big platform and become viral all of a sudden?
For what reason?
Why?
It's a bit like
that
Big
allowed?
Brother, eh? I feel a bit like that life has become a bit like
absolutely.
a camera.
We're all
I
under
have to
camera,
always,
understood.
God forbid, I don't scratch my nose when I'm taking a left turn because someone's going to see me and, lalo, man, no one picks their nose. Calm yourself, ma.
That's because everybody's carrying a camera that has a broadcast channel.
But what right do we have?
Well, GDPR, we don't have the right at all.
Bye.
No, this is where the conversation started right from the very beginning. We don't have the right. We actually don't. If somebody objects to that
Don't
content,
take it too seriously. I think there's, as Tez said, there's lack of education of how we can report and maybe how. I'm not sure if it was easy to report. It sounded a bit of a long process. So, but I think if we took GDPR seriously and if there's more information about how we can report and actually, it's not because there's a taboo. I'm sure there's a taboo with reporting.
And there's this fear of having to go to the police and
this fear,
opening up a report.
Like when I had a personal experience of harassment, I was almost told not to report because then you have to go to the police.
Oh, yeah.
And then
It's
you
a
have to get the
hassle.
lawyer. And then you have to do this.
Gail, when I reported harassment, I was told by the police not to report it.
Yes.
And it was a 2-year episode of harassment. So we don't necessarily, as women, have the support that we need. Now, things are getting better in that respect, and thank God that they are.
I think there's lack of education and lack of enforcement. Because if in the video we're talking about, that was infringement of GDPR big time. Like, she could have probably sued them or something, I don't know. But there's no education and there's a lot of this attitude, like, oh yeah, let it go, it's fine, don't make a big deal out of it. There's also this, don't make a big deal out of it, like let it go, let it go, let it go. And when we start letting it go too often, then things won't change.
It becomes
It becomes
normalized.
normal. It becomes normal.
It's not okay.
And then I feel that is where it becomes okay to message a complete stranger such an appropriate things, and you feel it's okay. You can get away with it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I hope we get to a point where there aren't. I hope we're gonna get. Even saying it out loud, it's laughable. Why did it even get to a point where there is something that you need to report as harassment?
For sure.
You know what I mean?
Online, especially, I think.
I had this
Danger.
conversation even a while back. Maybe I'm going off on a tangent here, but I had this conversation when I worked on television. I remember somebody very close to me saying, because there was a bit of negativity around something in particular, and I remember somebody close to me told me, but must you put yourself out there?
Oh, that's
Must you?
rubbish.
Must you?
That's not
and
okay.
and
No,
I
no.
was like, hold on a little bit, because earlier I said, you're out there in a bikini and you're expecting no comments. I almost like you're inviting it. Yes. So this is my take on it. Of course, this is up for grabs, but I don't think that just because I work on television or I work on stage and this and that just because I've put myself out there, you get the carte blanche to say whatever you want about it. What do I mean? Hello, basic respect, tipo.
Yeah. Common courtesy.
Common courtesy.
Courtesy.
Just because I'm open to criticism, but this is not criticism. This is just plain rude.
It's insult. Sometimes
you know,
it's insulting. It's
no, you
derogatory.
put yourself out there.
It's-
So I'm sorry.
No.
Just because I put myself out there, I am discussing certain things on social media. I am playing a certain role in a show. Whatever it is that is exposed, that doesn't mean it is a free for all. I'm sure put yourself. No, man. Not a common courtesy, not a ethics. Not, I mean.
And this was happening when you were on TV.
Yes.
So
This is
this
not
was
even a
not
world
even
of
on
social media. No.
Now, we had this conversation I had this conversation with Emily Jones in the interview that went out last week, because Emily is a content creator. She's a content creator with over 400,000 followers. And she's also an OnlyFans content creator, and she puts herself there out as a plus size model and content creator. Now, she had some extremely abusive comments, and I was trying to get to the bottom of that with her as well. I think this is the same thing. Where is the boundary, and why is there a boundary? The comments that she was receiving were just really vile. We know they're vile, but, and I'm not agreeing with this, I'm just being devil's advocate for a second, if you do put yourself out there, are you not putting yourself into the media for comment and analysis and reply?
But what kind of a person? What does that say about you? If you are the person making those horrible comments and insults to somebody on social media, just because you think you have a right to, because, well, they put the photo up, it's so much less time to just keep scrolling.
Well,
if you don't like it, don't look. So what kind of a human being? What kind of human beings are making these comments?
It's like there's this sense of authority, like I can.
I can.
Like, when you can, but
Yeah.
why?
Why?
Like,
That's
you're
the
going to
bigger
spend
question.
time to
Yeah.
comment, to post, and then it might get flagged, and then you might get reported. Like, why?
You could have
Just-
said nothing.
Of course, not everyone has to like your content.
No, of
and
course
not
not.
everyone has to agree with your
So
content.
just ignore it
Absolutely.
And
you
know, you can unfollow, you can mute, you can block, whatever. But why do you have to comment? Like, why? And also, especially when it's hateful comments, because as Tess said, an opinion is one thing, but sometimes most of them are not opinions. Most of them are like, you're ugly.
Yeah. Or one that I got
What
that
have you
really
gained from
shocked
passing
me.
that comment? It made you feel all fuzzy and great inside.
I've had comments like from a guy. I had comments from a guy online. You looked better in 2000 something.
Wow.
Like, really?
Who asked you?
But what
That's
can
what
I
you're-
do with that?
I'm sorry. But who asked you?
I don't know where this I have something to say hello came from.
But they wouldn't say it in your face. This is what I was saying earlier, how a lot of them are hidden. The person that you took, the young adult that you took to cybercrime, you called him out. He had to come out from behind his keyboard and face you.
The
And
embarrassment.
so a lot of them feel
don't
comfortable because they
care.
think, whatever, just typing away. Here we go. Let me just, oh my God, look at that photo. Let me write something horrible to her. And oh my goodness, look at that. Some of them, it's a pastime for some people. And this is, when did we become
that's a
so
hobby,
disrespectful
man.
and
But
horrible?
I think there's lack of education in everything. I think when if we're talking about the male gaze, I think when guys comment in a certain way
Yeah.
on women's profile or messages, it's the lack of education. Like I had a guy messaging me, you shouldn't write this on your social platforms. I was like, listen, dude, it's a joke. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. And then he realized that I'm not going to be like double tapping and ignoring.
Complacent, yeah.
And he was like, and he was, I don't know, he took it a bit like, oh, okay, she replies. This girl replies. And like, who gave him the go ahead to tell me what to do? Who?
I sneezed.
Okay.
Who?
How? Who?
How do we get into this?
How? So I think there's the lack of education.
Well, okay, so it could be a lack of education. All right, so we're saying that behavior online, offline. I mean,
Free for all, sort of.
again, let's take this back to offline. Okay, let's take it back to 20 years ago, before the time of Instagram. This again is not something new, because prior to the social media, you might be walking along a street and somebody catcalls you. Yeah. Somebody makes a comment. Somebody winds down the car window and calls out to you. I run with earphones on for probably one reason, so that I have no idea what people are calling out to me when I'm running, but I know they're doing it. So it's not a new thing. It's just a new platform.
It's a scarier platform, in my opinion, because this just reaches to every corner of the earth. It's not an isolated incident where you're having a jog and somebody catcalls you. This is something that will spread. Yeah. If you and I did something completely silly and disgusting and posted it online and it exploded and started going viral, that's going to reach Singapore in a minute, isn't it? Or Australia or but what you're going through is so isolated.
Because
now it's worse.
What is the threat of somebody in Australia seeing your content? Why is that a problem?
I mean, depending on what the content is. And then young people in Australia are seeing that, or young people in the United States, or anywhere.
So
but
it's
no
effect?
Longer isolated. It's this ripple effect, and it goes to every corner of the earth, thanks to social media and the internet. And so it's a far scarier thing. And I think we should be way more responsible now than we ever were in educating the younger generation. And I think, have we all lost our sense of what right and wrong? Is that it too? Is there no more boundary there as to what's right and what's wrong? Can we not tell that apart anymore because of the internet, because of social media and what we're seeing on there?
Nowadays,
a big question.
Don't the pages have certain things that are flagged?
With collagen loss, my skin is less firm. I can feel it.
New Collagen Specialist. 3 times more collagen peptides for 3 times more collagen in your skin. Wrinkles are reduced for 96% of women. And you can feel the difference.
That's why I love collagen.
Lift Active Collagen Specialist. Vichy. Health is vital. Start with your skin.
But Tez, I'm just going to come back to what you said before. When Corrine was speaking there, I was thinking about something you said maybe 10 minutes ago, and you were talking about the responsibility of social media platforms.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, and I'm just going to say it how it is, why is it in social media's platforms' interest to moderate content? Because unmoderated content or viral content, it's what drives
Exactly.
the platform. And they need that content. They need angry women in McDonald's. That's what they want.
How
And I
sad
think
is
this
that,
is
though?
where you're talking about education. I think, with all due respect, if you are of a generation prior to social media, you look at social media and you go, okay, it's great, it's fine, it's lovely. But seriously, what? Because you can look at it without, with some kind of understanding of what's driving it. Follow the money. Always, in every situation,
business for
follow
them.
the money. Social media is not there to make us happy.
No.
Social media is to make Mark Zuckerberg
Yes.
rich.
Yes, yeah.
And that's the only reason it's there. It's not there for any other reason. And we are the pawns in that game. And therefore, when we're talking about social media and you're talking about education, that's where we need to be aware. But unfortunately, younger people never grew up with that. They've grown up with social media as part of their life. And they're like, oh, it's a really nice place to be. Yes, it is. If you have the right approach like you do and say, I'm not going to look at that and I want to look at that, that's great. But as we all said around the table, even I would say, am I always aware? And I say, I'm not going to follow that and I want to exclude that. And no, you're doing it 12 o'clock at night and whatever. And
But if you can look at it objectively and say, okay, that's a video, I watched it. I scroll aimlessly through social media sometimes, but I have the ability to be like, okay, that's what that was, swipe up. A child might not, or
Exactly.
a youngster might not.
I think my fear is of the young ones of watching certain influencers, certain content creators participating in certain videos, certain shows and whatnot. That is the fear. Like, what the
you can say it.
fuck are you trying to say? Like, I love comedy and I watch stand-up and and I'm not a prude. I take a dirty joke and I take double
For sure,
puns and whatnot.
absolutely.
Like with my friends, we're like, but we know our boundaries. We
Yes.
know each other. Then and it's between 5 people, not online for thousands and thousands and thousands of people to see. So what are they trying to say? I think comedy and cringe comedy is the fastest way of getting followers.
Well,
that is what they care.
I'm going to come back to a conversation that we've had before and add that to this. And I want to ask you guys your opinion. Now, Dress With Me is not a new concept on social media. It's been around for a long time.
Dress with me. So
Dress
that's
with me.
when you just change outfits and things. I'm a bit,
When you're going to get
Outfit of the day,
switch,
sort of.
outfit of the
styling.
day.
And again, I'm not targeting any particular person or influencer or whatever. Absolutely not. I'm talking about Dress With Me as a concept.
In general.
I find the fact that very extremely popular content where young women are in their underwear every single day dangerous, because I saw that other young women were doing it. And it's become a trend. So it started off in Hollywood. Influencers were doing it in Hollywood. And then it just, as social media does, it went everywhere. And unfortunately, I do believe that is very, very much sitting on a fine line between good content and what might be damaging for young women, because I feel like, we need to protect our bodies. We need to be safe with our bodies. We need to make sure that our bodies are something that should be respected and that they should only be shown to the right people. Now, again, this is not a new thing, because modeling and bikini models have been around forever. So tell me, am I wrong? Am I wrong for
I'm on
feeling
the fence here because I wouldn't do it because I do not feel comfortable to do that. But if you're comfortable to do that, I don't see how it is any different from posting yourself in a bikini. Me. But then again, that's opening another can of worms. Is it okay to post? Because it's one thing to do that on a beach. It's another thing to take a picture, and it's another thing with gym clothes. is it okay because you're posting about your success in having gotten definition on your abs, for example? I think this is Tezara Saliba would not do it because I'm not comfortable. But I also say each to their own here.
I think I don't care if you post a photo with your nipples showing. I don't give a shit.
No.
But are you at an age where you know what the consequences are?
That's what I'm saying.
So I post photos with bikinis. I don't do get ready with me because it's not my thing, and maybe one day it will be, but I don't think it will be in my underwear because it's not my style. But I don't care. It's cool. It's good. But do you know that whatever you post today will be there forever, even if you delete it on your Instagram? So I think it's are you of age, meaning, are you mature enough that you won't regret it in a year's time? Or are you not there yet? Because that is the fear. Because if you post a photo with a bikini on the beach, lying, whatever, in Mykonos, good for you, enjoy it, I'm jealous. But do you know that if you delete it in a year's time, it's too late? Even if you delete it in 5 minutes, it's too late. The digital footprint, please Google it. Whatever you post, whatever you say, is there forever. Is there to live forever. So I think it's education. Do they know that if they regret it in 10 years' time and they go back to their Instagram and delete them, it's too late, sweetie. It's too late, honey, bunny. Do they know? So I think.
But what is wrong with
No,
posting?
there's nothing wrong. I'm saying there's nothing wrong.
You're saying the repercussion if you regret it.
If you regret
that's
it,
what
I'm
you're
saying, because first of all, let's be honest, you are exposing your body. I exposed my body last summer when I posted myself with a tongue, and I don't care because I'm mature and there was a message behind it. And it wasn't actually zooming on my ass. But anyway, it was from far. But still, I did it. I have no regrets till this day. So it's about you're exposing yourself. Let's, say it how it is. You are exposing your body, and people behind the camera don't know what they're doing when they're seeing you. But will you regret it in a 1 hour's time, in 2 hours, in 2 years, in 5 minutes? I don't know. So that is my worry, and that is the education that needs to be addressed, is the consequences. And if you're really, this is like a tattoo, I have this. Will I regret it next year? Like, no, yes, I don't know. I'm glad I didn't do it at 15. I wanted stars, I remember. I was obsessed with stars. I used to tattoo stars. I'm glad my mother never let me, because look at me now. I would laser them, But it works. But a photo doesn't. Whatever goes online stays online.
I think you've perfectly
But
articulated.
who finds it? So can I?
Let me just say, I just want to appreciate and say thank you to Gail, coming to you in a second, but I think you perfectly articulated what I was trying to say. Is there something wrong with Dress With Me? Does it influence younger women who may regret it in the future? I'm afraid I think it does. And that is the only issue that I have with it is, and also, let's face it, it might be influencing younger women that's okay even outside of social media. And that we do have, as women, really, I do feel like we should be moderated in who we let see our bodies, how we let them see our bodies, and what people can do with our bodies. As a near on 50-year-old, I'm telling you exactly that. Don't do something now that you're going to regret when you're two decades down the line.
Don't do it. It's there forever and ever and ever. Like Gail said, it's not.
How do you, if something is deleted? It sounds like I'm fearful of something I posted.
Let's go with the basics. Let's start with the basics.
I'm genuinely asking here.
The very basics would be me screenshotting you, sending it to 5 people.
Okay.
That's easy. That's done. And then they send it to others. And they send it to others. So that's 1. 2 is the dark web, where whatever goes online stays online forever. Like
it's as in you need to know the internet very well to know the portals you need to go.
Yes, I still don't know where to find, but for sure it's there. It's there, and this is written. This is facts. I'm not just saying this is research. This is study.
Yeah,
whatever,
it's very interesting.
Whatever goes online. So meaning that's why we have to be. I'm going off a bit. When we share our kids. in the bath, naked, half whatever, their school uniforms, whatever. You have to be careful because whatever is online stays online and gets spread very easily. Like this is
And
like
can be found by the people that are looking for that content for maybe less than honourable.
and not just
Yes,
cute,
yes.
like
Many,
So if
many
they-
years ago, I shared a photo of my daughter in a bikini. She was, oh my goodness, she was so young, maybe 9 or 10. And immediately got a message from a relative of mine in Canada saying, if I was you, I'd take that down. It's not because she's not adorable and we all see it that way, but that could be used on the internet now. It's out there and somebody could get their hands on it and use it for not so honorable reasons.
Absolutely.
And I immediately took it down, never posted anything else like that about
And,
is like-
you brought
with
up,
my
I'm
daughter
just
in her
gonna-
bikini back then, no way.
But it's coming back to this dark web. I mean, this is something that I've become aware of in the last year. There are a lot of people who would take images of women and take them and put them into their portfolio, share them with other people who maybe are, not going to say maybe, who have less than honourable intentions against those images. And they're shared. These guys, and let's put it really bluntly, there may be men who are jerking off over your picture in your thong because they've taken it down from the internet and it's there forever. It's not on the web, and Gail says, I'm going to take that down. Are you happy with somebody over in the US jerking off?
Too late.
Yeah, it's too late. It's happened.
me.
I mean, let's
This
be
is like-
real
this
about
is
it.
But
like
wait, but
revenge
what do you
porn.
do?
This is
What do
like
you do?
revenge
Do you
porn.
know what I think? I think that there should be a new lesson in schools.
Yes.
Teaching the younger generation.
Absolutely.
My
right
school
from
does
wrong
these.
online.
My school does these. So I don't know what other schools do.
And explain
But
the
my s-
algorithm to them. Explain what Gail is saying. Explain why once you put that up there.
Is the query a girl in a bikini and a boy with his boxer shorts, swimming trunks? Okay, then how is that?
No.
Do we have the same reaction towards a boy in his swimming trunks as we do with a girl in a bikini?
But men don't behave, and I mean this respectfully, but some men, a percentage of men do not respond to content that's out there in the same way that women, we'd go, oh, that's nice, like Cor said right at the very beginning, oh, that's nice, and swipe.
Yeah.
We have to account for a fact that there is a percentage, and hopefully a small percentage of men or women or whoever that is, that don't relate to that content in such a healthy way. It's very unlikely, this sounds really crude, that a woman is going to copy that photograph, take it down, and use it later for her sexual pleasure. Whereas
Only
there
if it's
is-
Tom Hardy, but he's fair play. I'm kidding. I'm so kidding right now. It was just there. The door was open and I walked through it.
Absolutely, welcome.
No, guys,
but
a
honestly-
bit like what do? You
not
stop
saying-
living your
No,
life
no,
because
no.
everything can be turned into something dangerous.
No, but we're not. I at least I'm not saying, because as I said, I post myself, so I'm not saying stop posting, don't show off yourself, but be aware of
Be
what
aware.
you're doing. So like I would never hello, Michaela, my niece. I would never. I would teach her why. I would tell her why, and I'm sure she knows why. She's just like, she's very young. She's a teenager. I would never. It sounds wrong. Allow her to post herself in a bikini. She's too young to even understand why not, because she will definitely regret it. Like I still have regrets of my Pajaville days photos on Facebook. Tess, you don't? I do. And they weren't even overly exposed.
Thank goodness
So
you
happy.
wasn't there.
Imagine, mine are all on private, but I know it's too late, but mine are all on private. It's just me drunk, but anyway. So exposing yourself, even you might have maybe issues with even finding a job.
For sure.
Even
Yeah.
respectful. Like it goes beyond comments from guys on Facebook or on Instagram. It's even, finding a career and being taken seriously, like from men. So I think it's
But why
the
does that
understanding.
hinder from
Being
being
taken
taken seriously,
by men.
guys?
Because that's the reality, I mean, I'm sure you heard comments of, but you're a manager now. Who did you sleep with? You slept with the boss. We still get
for
that. We
sure.
still get those comments till this day.
Because of a photo I have of
No, but
No,
because
no.
you might probably be good looking, have a figure, dress in a way.
Saying, how did you get that job? Did you sleep with the boss to get it? That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
But
Is
you
this-
don't think then you and your work ethic and you proving that you work damn hard shows that no, I did not sleep with the boss and
Yes,
and
but
how
we're
dare
still
you for
getting
even
those
You're
comments.
still going to get that comment.
But then I'm gonna prove you freaking wrong.
Yes, but my point is that we're still getting those comments, and that is why there might be an issue with certain images or comments or whatever. Because we're still, till this day, 2024, women are still struggling to prove that no, I can be a CEO without sleeping with everyone. I can be, an entrepreneur without, getting help from my dad. That's why, because we're still getting, there's still this fight with women. So that's why, for me, certain content from certain pages is not on, because we're still, fighting for safety, and like men degrading women online is like, what the hell? That's why there's still a struggle. If you speak with women, with maybe single girls, especially single women, there's still a struggle. So I think that's why.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to be a pain when I'm saying certain things, but and I am seeing your points of view. Really, I am. But I'm also a bit like this is a bit like certain jobs not accepting people with tattoos. The teaching profession being one of them. Why? Does that make me any less better an educator?
No.
But Tez,
no.
here's the thing, and I think I think you'd probably all agree with this. It doesn't make it right, but it does still mean it's real.
Yeah.
What?
And
What?
it's somebody not accepting someone with a tattoo for an
So
education position.
But why can't we change the culture of that? I'm sorry.
Why? I think
Why? Why is it wrong that you have a teacher teaching you whatever it
Is that
is?
true? If you have a tattoo, they
Visible tattoo.
You're not allowed.
you're not allowed to have
No.
a visible tattoo.
The same with
as an educator.
Yes. The same with
Change for
air hostesses.
pilots, yeah.
There are loads of professions that you can't have tattoos.
And it's become such a normal thing now to have a tattoo.
I
And
genuinely don't care. This is what I mean by
Yeah, I don't care about that.
Show me your work ethic, and
Yes,
that is
yes.
going to be. I mean, what I do at the weekend, whatever is.
yes.
But Tez, you're an educator. So let me ask you this. If you go out on the weekend and you go on the beach and you're taking a photograph of you in I know this is probably not going to happen because you'd... I
hate
know
the
you
beach.
beach
I
and
hate the
swimsuits,
beach.
absolutely.
Oh, Tez.
But let's say you're in a bikini, a scantily clad bikini with and you're showing your butt and a thong and all the rest of it as an educator, and then you put that across social media. Would that be frowned upon on Monday?
For sure. But
Does it make it wrong?
no.
I don't think that's the question.
This
I
is
think
me
it's-
even turning down certain roles in the theater if they have to do with something that I wouldn't take the risk. I love my job and I don't want to risk getting fired. So, but I think that there are certain things we're a bit too tight-knit about. Tattoos being one of them.
Yeah, I
I'm
think
sorry,
things
we're
need
going
to be
on
adapted,
a bit of
though.
a tangent here. I'm sorry, please
No,
feel
no,
free
no.
to edit this out. But I think that I wouldn't do that because I do not want to then go on Monday and I have my students going, "La, miss, no." So I'm not going to do that because you're then going to you're going to put me in a position where I am beneath you to a certain. I feel like then they get the upper hand to say certain things. But if I for example, a lot of the times I would say something like, last night I would go into my social media and I would show what I cooked for dinner, and then the next morning they would come to me and tell me, miss, you made stew last night. It doesn't bother me. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
And I think, and I'm going to say, because this is a really interesting conversation, and maybe we should just have a whole show about that one day. But if you do have an opinion about what you're saying, what Tez is saying about tattoos and everything, don't forget to comment under here because we want to hear what you have to say. I am going to bring the conversation back a little bit to this whole idea of the male gaze, because we have really thrashed this out. And if you're listening to this or watching this, I mean, I'm really excited because we've gone at this. We started off a little bit kind of, mellow, and now we're just going, like this, let's throw this out. But I want to bring this back to a kind of a comment and some discussion that we're having a few minutes ago, which is down to, you mentioned this is out there. Once you put this content out there, it's out there. It's out there forever. We've established that. Whatever we think, whatever we perceive, it's out there. And there may be people who are less honorable than other individuals, hence you saying with your niece, don't put a picture of your niece out there in a bikini, because there might be people who are less honorable and have more dark motives to take that content down and use that content. I think that's a really good place to start. Whatever we as women put out there is out there.
Yeah.
But that also puts an onus on men. And of course, are we so responsible for the objectification, for the male gaze that's out there? Are we the ones that need to take control of this? Or do we need to call out the content that we've seen in recent months and say, no, guys, you know what? That's not okay.
Content that we've seen in recent months and the fine line that we were talking about earlier. When we all saw certain content, we all had the same reaction to that content. And for me, that tells me that's a big red flag saying it's not okay if it makes so many people uncomfortable, and not in a good way. It's not uncomfortable because we're not used to thinking that way. It's uncomfortable because you think that's shocking, absolutely shocking that a woman would allow it and a woman would be okay with it, and that for some warped reason, somebody would look at us and say, oh, just lighten up. It was just a joke. She was okay with it. Doesn't make it okay. Doesn't make it okay if your niece sees it and she's young and impressionable and it's out there on a huge platform. It doesn't make it okay. It doesn't. There's also men out there who can't distinguish between reality and something that's just put on there for likes. Yeah. So that worries me as well, because if they can't distinguish between reality and what's online, kind of fictional content for likes, then how safe are we? And these are young, impressionable minds I'm talking about here, the up and coming generation, because the older generation should know better.
Yeah,
they should know better.
We know from the response to some of that content that they don't.
No, they don't. And isn't that scary?
Yeah, it is
Thinking
scary.
that our future generations, your niece, my daughter, my future grandkids, anything, they're all going to be growing up around people like that. They're out there. It's like sticking a tadpole in a tank of sharks.
But Cor, I just got to interrupt you before I forget with that menopausal brain fog. I've got to just say that you have really identified and hit the nail on the head of something that Tez brought up a few minutes ago. And there's been my big question. How do we know when content is inappropriate and not just men having a good laugh? Because
not one of you said to me, not one of you, and nobody that I showed a certain video to, nobody said to me, oh, just lighten up. It was just a joke. Not one.
No,
Everybody was appalled.
We all
gasped.
collectively. And I think, Tez, you're absolutely right. Some women, some men might say, oh, it's okay, it's a joke. But I think when you have a collective group of women all independently saying, that's not okay, that surely has to be a sign that unanimously that content is not okay. Why is it not okay? I think you also hit the nail on the head there, because it also influences, unfortunately, not just younger generations, but the generation and behavior of older people as well. So I think you were absolutely spot on. I think there is a grey area, but when every single woman says, that makes me feel uncomfortable, we know there's something wrong. Am I right? Am I
one more thing to
sense?
feel self-conscious about, one more thing to worry about. Yeah. That's what I felt after watching that. I felt, wow, that's just one more thing and people can say, oh, you know what? Don't worry, sweetheart. Nobody's ever going to try and do that to you, because there are nasty people out there who would retort with that. But the point here is, it's not something normal. And I'm sure that the majority of people out there know that, but it's also not okay. Just because it's out there and there's far worse things out there, it doesn't make it okay for you to keep adding to that.
Yeah, exactly. But for me, it's also a worry of what happened to ethics, morals,
Yeah,
like
it's gone.
values, and I'm not talking about religion or anything.
No.
It's just the basics of like interacting with the opposite gender. Like what happened? Why are we resorting to cheap sketches and like.
And I don't think
Lack
you're
of
going to
content.
extreme of
Yeah.
let's open the door for a woman. I don't think you're going anywhere close to that. I think you're going to basic etiquette. Just like,
Fundamental.
hi,
Basic,
I'm
yes.
Tez. Nice to meet you. Let's have a conversation.
Like-
correct me if I'm wrong, right?
Yeah.
You're not even going to the extreme of
No.
let's
red
chivalry.
carpet
No,
and
no,
flowers.
no,
Like,
no.
no, like relax. So that's also scary for me. Like,
Are you kidding me? I was on air my entire career with male co-hosts. Okay, so I grew up in a very male-oriented. From the minute I was born, I was thrown into a world of males because I only had one sister. The rest were boy cousins. And then in my career, it's been male co-hosts the entire time. If I had to get offended by some of the things I've heard in the studio, but it's in the studio and we all joke around and we all have a laugh. But there's a fine line then to what's funny. Once you cross that line, I would be the first one to go, oi, that's gross. Like, enough already, you know?
But you have the ability to do that, to be like, oh, the problem is when it's said to somebody that doesn't have the courage to be like, oh, that's not okay. You know, I think that is the worry.
or else, sorry, I have to say this. I hate this when they use it. The word snowflake is used. You're such a snowflake. Come on, can't you take a joke? Like, fuck off. I'm not a snowflake. Like, educate yourself, okay? Like, you're a 30-something-year-old and what are you doing with your life? What are you doing with your life? I think you're the snowflake because you don't know how to act, like, and be responsible.
Yeah.
So I really hate when it's been used very much. So when we people, like us, not attack, like say like, oi, stop, what are you doing? What are you saying? So when they find opposition, they call us snowflakes. That's the word.
Yeah, but that's the first thing, right? You're a prude, you're frigid, lighten up, you're a snowflake. That's the latest one,
The
right?
snowflake is the latest
It's the
one.
But I don't
That's
get
not a new
offended
concept.
No.
if I see another woman putting herself out there and allowing that to happen. I'm not offended by that content. I'm shocked. And I'm a bit appalled and definitely a lot disgusted.
Yeah.
Because like you said, I can laugh, I can joke. I've done it on air for 26 years.
Yeah.
But there's a fine line as to what's funny and what's not. If you don't have any content, sit down and brainstorm and make an effort.
Exactly.
Don't go, it's like a cheap thrill, isn't it? You get a cheap thrill. Let me put it out there. Oh my God, it went viral. Of course it did. It's gross.
But it is
Even
but it's-
I had to watch it. Like, it was like, I got to see this. But the feeling generally to anybody who saw that video,
So I want to put some things in the middle of the table because I want to take some lessons away from this. And I think there's been some really powerful things said during this podcast. I think one of the things that's really important when we're trying to measure what's appropriate and what's inappropriate, I think that idea of if you think it's inappropriate, like Tez said, that may be not what somebody else finds inappropriate. Maybe they're like, no, that's okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
But as women, if we're collectively together and we all go, oh, without even socially contaging everybody else and we just independently say, nope, we're not comfortable with that, then we can take that as a yardstick that is not
Absolutely.
okay.
That's where you measure
That's
it.
exactly right. I think so.
So that's what we're going to say is the yardstick. If we're collectively saying we feel uncomfortable with that content, then okay. I think both of you guys, and I'm going to ask you guys to chip in on this, but I think, Tez, what you did when you had that content thrown at you, when you had those comments thrown at you, you said, you know what, I'm not
standing
I'm
for
not
it.
going to stand up for it. I'm going to take action. I have so much respect for that. And I really wish we could empower more women to do that. And hopefully, just even by hearing this podcast, more women will. How easy was it? How seriously were you taken?
I was. Sadly, I seem to be in the minority because from what you guys said, you were encouraged not to do that. I said, to hell with you all, I'm doing it anyway. So, and thankfully, mine got solved. The IP address was traced, and unfortunately, there are people who do not get the closure that they need towards their harassment chapter.
Maybe if this happens more often, then, things can start toning down in the sense that people won't feel so free to hurt someone because it's not having an opinion. It's insulting someone and being derogatory and treating that person
And
like a
objectifying
cheap
them.
piece of meat, totally objectifying them.
Yeah.
And that's not okay. There's a difference between saying, wow, you sing like an angel and I think you're absolutely gorgeous. You wouldn't have been offended by that. Of
course not.
You would have said, what a sweet comment.
Yeah.
But when someone says what they said to you, that's a different story.
Yeah.
I showed you
absolutely.
a message that I got just randomly. It came into my messenger last week. And because I'm not doing a radio show at the moment and I'm not so much in the public eye as I was before, it kind of shocked me. And it was just one sentence from somebody I've never met, local, who just said, Kemandik shufteik talbaus fil font. Exactly my reaction.
And for our English-speaking listeners,
that is
you have lips.
you have such lips that are made for deep kissing. Cringe.
The fuck?
Makes my skin crawl.
But
I've never met you. I don't know who you are, but you also live on the same island as me, which makes me feel uncomfortable.
What crossed your mind to even get your phone?
Yeah.
See Cor's lips. They're beautiful lips.
They're not. They're really not all
No,
that.
they really are.
But
They really are.
The fact that you felt it was okay to
Yeah.
go into your social media and send that message to me is the problem. The fact that for some reason the brakes weren't held,
Yes.
the brakes of logic weren't held, and you actually, because I would say
Can
the
I-
thought
can I-
crosses, possibly
yeah.
the thought crosses, but you're doing something with the thought.
But can I
Putting
interject
it-
with that? We have to be, unfortunately, and this comes back to being aware, and this is what Gail was saying about education, be educated that there are some men and women who get off on making other people feel uncomfortable. Be aware of that.
That's
Yeah,
horrible.
it's
Yes,
horrible.
but
What
it's the
sort of
world. It
horrible
is
thought,
the
but-
world. And I'm saying, as much as we want to think that the world is full of peaches, there is the dark web.
Yes.
There are people that are going to take down your photographs and use them for
Whatever they want.
whatever they want. And people who will comment and troll. That's the whole point of trolls, because that's where they find their power. And they're not doing it because they want to compliment you. They're doing it because they get off on making you feel uncomfortable. They're not stupid. They're aware. Yeah. There is a fine line between somebody who's a little bit over-familiar, and you'll always know that as a person who receives a comment like that. You're like, oh, well, maybe they just didn't kind of really think about what they were saying, and somebody who's saying it for a more sinister reason.
And that's it.
And I
the
think
sinister reason.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we have to be mindful and aware of that and educate. And I love what you were saying, Gail, about education and the fact that your school is educating. And I think this social media is such a new phenomenon. Let's face it, 10 years ago, Instagram wasn't something that was really on our radar.
No.
So this, and TikTok, what is that, 5 years? This is a huge, don't quote me on those stats, but it's a huge platform that we are just beginning to understand.
So the
And
new
if you-
rules need to be made.
to come up.
Yeah.
But I think from certain TikTok, Facebook, blah, 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 I think the walls need to come up faster. What walls do I mean? I think it has to be implemented even further, that when a detection system, for lack of a better phrase, where something derogatory, something not okay, if it's posted, a wall needs to go up. And the thing is, the account is blocked. Okay, another account can be recreated, which is this guy in particular created different accounts. In
Of
fact,
course, I knew somebody who
fine.
had like 30 different aliases.
But
crazy.
I'm unfortunately hopeful that I'm number one angry at the fact that we've gotten to this point, because this is what happens. No, mal-ħażin jeħel it-tajjeb.
Exactly. Yes.
With the bad, the good suffer. That we've gotten to this point. But I also feel like we need to get to this point. This is basic things. Oh, you commit a crime, you're going to get
So
punished.
enforcement, lack of enforcement. There is lack of enforcement in Malta. As in, we've seen when was it, a couple of months ago, when a viral video of a man, he was naked, anyway, he was in a pub, when the girl, they were having, sex, it went viral. And what are the consequences? Who was recording? Who shared it? What? So
In
for me,
what
there's
universe was that okay?
There's of course,
Yeah.
but where is the enforcement? So if you're not going to get fined or maybe thrown in jail for a couple of years,
You're
I
gonna
don't know
do it.
whatever the consequences, you might be like, okay, then if she
You're
needed
so
it,
right.
I will
You're
do it.
so right.
But and I'm going to say this once again, I sound like an old fart and quite skeptical, but let's be mindful, if you follow the money,
Yeah.
who makes the money out of viral content, good or bad?
But if that is your only way of generating the money, then
Hey, any of us could do it then. Really?
I mean,
But it's a matter of scruples. Where are your scruples? Where?
No,
It's really-
no. But to say something, Instagram tip, there are tools. Instagram has an section on settings where you can add words and phrases, and then if for example, imagine
here, like this.
yes,
The words and phrases this guy. So my manual filter, I inserted bed, boobs, nipples, perky,
So you can
sex, shag,
filter.
anything that this guy was sending me, keywords, so that my algorithm from my end would shut him down if these
hide
words.
comments probably, not being shown to the public.
Exactly,
public.
because obviously I have to be mindful of the young eyes that I have on my
follow,
social
yeah.
media being.
So there are tools, but
educator.
of course, I mean, Instagram is an ever-evolving app. As in, I don't work for Instagram, right? But Instagram is growing as and competing with TikTok. So they do their best for sure. Both apps have settings and whatnot, but they cannot control all the
Everything.
hate and whatnot. And then. Anyway, it's still led by humans at the end of the day,
And that's-
so
that's
so
it,
then
right?
there's
And certain
errors.
things happen even on WhatsApp, which is not something as in
Yes, at all. I mean,
because that is a
the
chat
videos
system.
that are shared of
Bishak.
porn, of
Yeah.
revenge porn and whatnot. They're all shared on WhatsApp and like nothing else done. So
So let's continue throwing into the table these suggestions that we have from our experiences, okay? So I'm going to reiterate this because I want some takeaways, because this has just been a very powerful discussion. If your peers, if your group of friends, if they all think it's not good content, it's not good content.
It's not good.
agreed.
Okay.
Right? Wouldn't it? Yeah.
And that's your yardstick. That is, you don't have to question yourself. Ask someone, is it good content? It's not content.
I would always ask someone. I would say, is this me being a prude?
Right.
Am I getting old? Can you
Yeah.
look at this and tell me if my reaction is okay or if I should lighten up a bit? Or I always do, because I don't want to get old in that way.
Yeah.
I don't mind getting old in every other way, but I do
don't
want to
wanna
keep
get
an
old
open
in that
mind.
way.
And I am not one to talk. I write content and narrate content, but that does not mean that I want to welcome. It doesn't mean that I'm fodder for everybody. And that's, I think, what gets me is that attitude about, well, it's online, so I can say what I want. No, because then that comes from within. And what is that saying about you as a human being if you're writing horrible, disgusting comments underneath certain posts that have gone viral or not? Do you think about hurting the other person? Do you have any empathy?
But that is exactly it. So we're going to, first of all, reference your friends, your peers, the people around you. Is this bad content? If you feel uncomfortable about content, is it bad content? they'll tell you if they're on the scale, and if it's unanimously bad content, you know it's bad content. Do what you did, Tez. I mean, if it's inappropriate, report it, and you'll go to cybercrime. You said they can do something. I think it's so powerful that you've come out on this show and said that you've done it and you saw results, and I'm really grateful that you did that. Gail, you said educate. I mean, we all have a responsibility to educate younger women. We're doing it through this
Even
show.
younger men.
And I was going to say, and younger men, because you're a mum of a young boy, and I'm pretty sure that you wouldn't want him to be doing anything that is derogatory.
And I also teach a lot of young men as well.
Exactly.
So I
Young
agree.
ones in general.
And then I think we need to also say, like you said, whatever you put out there is out there forever, and you do not control who sees it. And therefore,
And what they do with it.
And what they do with it. So we have to just be mindful, as much as it is depressing or whatever, but for young mums or women or brothers, sisters, whatever, we have to be mindful that not all content that you think is going out there in an innocent way is going to be received and then respected in an innocent way. There are a lot of dark people out there, and if you aren't comfortable with the worst common denominator seeing your content, then don't
better
put
not
it
to post
out there
at
and
all.
be mindful.
Especially if you're involving others, because you can have regrets, like your own regrets. Oh, I posted that picture last year. Like, oh. But imagine being a parent and having regrets, like because you shared your son's tantrum or your daughter's. Maybe she doesn't want, maybe they don't want to, like, did you ask? So there's also that to keep in mind, and to educate yourself. It's not being a snowflake or being too like sensitive. This is the reality. Like, let's be like mindful adults, educate ourselves. If you have a phone, you have Google, you have internet, like do your research, make sure that, and this is not like PhD level, guys. Like, this is like basic. You type 2 words and like a lot of articles come up. In fact, there are a lot of TikTok, like parents who were on TikTok who have regrets of exposing their children too much. So let's, be careful when we are exposing not just ourselves, but even others, especially minors. So
Anything else thank you so much. Anything else we can throw on top of the chocolate here?
The very good chocolate, by the way.
Absolutely.
Delicious
But
chocolate,
I absolutely. But I also think, when we started this conversation up, we started about other content that has been going out of recent times, and probably for decades in different formats. And I just want to ask you for your closing thoughts. How do we, if we are as a collective group thinking that something out in media at the moment is uncomfortable, it's making us feel uncomfortable, what do we do about it?
report.
That's a tough one, because it's out there. They wanted it to be out there. We have our own opinions on it, and that's all they are, is our opinions. But I also think it goes deeper than that when so many people feel the same way about it. The thing is that I think we need to work harder and be more aware that content isn't damaging in future or then and there to people who might be watching it. And damaging, and I'm not being a snowflake. I'm far from that. But yeah, things hang around way into the future. That video could come back and bite someone in the ass, so to speak. Just like I feel about my stories. Do I regret doing them now? Yes, but it was a job. It paid well. It got me onto the iTunes charts type thing. And you think, wow, that's awesome at the time. But now, almost 10 years down the line, the only thing that I can think of is, my God, it's out there forever, which means in future, my grandchild or my future son-in-law even has access to those stories. How do I feel about it now as almost 50? So what you're saying, really, really, it's true. It's not just a tattoo. It's not just something. You're putting content out there that can really influence people and hurt people and damage people. And we all need to be a bit more aware and educated about it. Tez, I'm really impressed that you went to cybercrime and reported that. Good for you.
Yeah.
And I think that you definitely gave me the courage that if something ever happened like that to me, For example, if this person ever messaged again, went further, even though I've not responded or engaged, then yeah, I would really think about going to cybercrime, because I didn't really even know that was an option, to be honest. So thank you for that awareness.
You're welcome, babe.
Let's support one another, online, offline, and forevermore.
Yeah.
Thank you, ladies.
Hang on, I'll chin. I have really short arms.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your thoughts.
Cheers.
Holy cow, that was a good one.